Coming up on the Channel 4 News, the United Nations pitches a new peace plan trying to avoid war.
But Saddam Hussein is said to be readying his troops for battle as our own soldiers count down the deadline.
And much of the nation begins praying for peace. Tom Randalls joins me for our special coverage.
The news is next.
I remember when my carpets and drapes were new. It felt so fresh and clean, just like a brand new house. I wanted that feeling again, so I did it.
New carpets and drapes.
No, Coit. Call Coit now and get 20% off drapes. They'll clean and rehang them with perfect pleats, even hems, and no shrinkage. Guaranteed. Coit, the world's most experienced cleaners of carpets, drapes, and upholstery.
New rug for the hallway, huh?
No.
Coit.
Hey guys, you want some advice on women? Take notes. Okay, now if you want to take a girl to a party, there's only one thing you have to do. Stay sober. Otherwise, we don't set one foot in your car. Not one ankle, not one knee, nothing. So the more you know about women, the more you know there's only one way you're going to get to go anywhere with us. Drive sober. And let us pick the radio stations.
Watch our teamwork, Channel 4 News.
From your 24-hour news source, this is Channel 4 News at 5 with Bob Mayer, Kelly Craig, meteorologist Brian Norcross in the Storm Center, and the Channel 4 News team.
The Desert Deadline. America on the brink of war. South Florida to Saudi Arabia. A special edition of Channel 4 News.
Good evening. With just hours before the desert deadline, Iraq and the U.S. seem locked on a course for war. Saddam Hussein recalling his ambassador from Washington. President Bush warns he's ready to send soldiers into action, but the United Nations isn't giving up on peace. Reporter David Diaz is outside a special meeting. David.
Thank you. At around 9 o'clock tonight, New York time, the Secretary General is expected to meet with the Security Council and there to give a report on his trip to Iraq. And if there is any glimmer of hope that war can be averted, we should know it shortly after that meeting. For if last week's meeting in Geneva between the U.S. Secretary of State and the Iraqi Foreign Minister was, as some people described it, the last best hope for peace, well then the Secretary General's journey to Baghdad would be more like the last desperate attempt to prevent war. Upon his return to New York this morning, Javier Perez de Cuellar left little doubt that his meetings with Saddam Hussein had been fruitless.
Unfortunately, I have not much in my hands.
The Secretary General said his talks with the Iraqi strongman had been polite but unsuccessful. Saddam Hussein, he said, had expressed no interest in withdrawing from Kuwait.
You have an expression in English, you need two for tango. And then I want very much to dance, but I didn't find any nice lady for dancing with.
Gallows humor, perhaps, but the only kind to be found in a very somber UN.
When you mentioned that it's a somber occasion, I was not hoping to speak to you in this atmosphere.
When the Kuwaiti ambassador accepted the invitation to address this foreign affairs group, he still held high hopes that by today, the invasion of his country would have been withdrawn. He said today he still believed a last-minute reversal by the mercurial Saddam Hussein was still possible, but he was prepared for a military solution that could all but destroy his country.
There is no price which could match the liberation of the country and the freedom for our people. Whatever will be the consequences on the economy and the destruction of the country, we are ready to shoulder because, no price could be equal to the freedom of a nation and the liberation of the country.
Well, about an hour ago, the Iraqi ambassador to the UN said there were now the possibility of, in his words, serious talks, the possibility of serious talks growing out of the Secretary General's trip to Baghdad. Now, that conflicts directly with what the Secretary General said himself. And the U.S. ambassador says he knows nothing about these last-minute possibilities of so-called serious talks. That's the situation right now at the United Nations. I'm David Diaz reporting live here. And now for the latest developments in Washington, Steve Handelsman.
David, here at the White House, they learned this morning the details of the Perez de Cuellar failed peace mission to Baghdad. And around the same time, the president and his men saw another last-minute prospect for peace pass by. Saddam Hussein convened his rubber-stamped parliament, and there was hope he'd hide behind it and back down. Instead, delegates voted Saddam an okay for war, like the one President Bush got from the U.S. Congress.
And we are confident that we will succeed.
How can you succeed?
Because we are 18 millions. All of them are believers, and they were ready to die in order to defend their country and their principles.
Jim Baker left Canada at the end of his tour of U.S. allies and the Gulf to finalize plans for war.
I am very satisfied that the coalition is fully prepared politically, economically, and militarily to deal with possible alternatives as we approach midnight, January 15th.
Back in Washington, the travel-weary Secretary of State briefed President Bush. The agreement here is that the actual UN deadline is midnight Tuesday, Wednesday, New York time. And the White House line is that war could occur at any moment after that. As the deadline approached, there were anti-war demonstrations coast to coast. In Washington, Chicago, Minneapolis, San Francisco. President Bush met with acting U.S. Ambassador to Iraq, Joe Wilson, who's now been pulled out of Baghdad along with all U.S. diplomats. But Bush had nothing public to say about war with Iraq or anti-war sentiment at home.
Not here yet.
The president is battening down the hatches for war here at the White House. His spokesman said today, if Saddam Hussein does not begin to retreat from Kuwait by the UN deadline, then any time after the 15th for the Iraqis is borrowed time. This is Steve Handelsman reporting live from the White House. Back to you.
All right, thanks, Steve. Tom?
With the U.S. on the brink of war tonight, Iran is offering a warning for our troops. Soldiers who fought the bitter 8-year battle against Iraq say Hussein's forces are very tough. In fact, they say the U.S. is wrong to think an air and artillery pounding will bring a quick end to the fighting. Well, what is the U.S. battle plan? Channel 4's Teresa Rodriguez is in Washington with the answer. Teresa?
Well, thank you, Tom. I don't know if I have the answer, but I'll tell you what I have so far. If we do go to war, military experts now predict it could last as long as 6 months. And it's not going to last the 1 or 2 weeks that some in the Pentagon had hoped for, obviously. Nonetheless, military spokesmen say, we are ready.
If the president were to give us the order, we would be ready to go.
With war possible any time after Tuesday night at midnight, the Pentagon is scrambling to make certain U.S. forces have the necessary weapons to do battle.
It's never prudent to underestimate the capability of your enemy, especially when you consider what Iraq has. 500,000 people in the Kuwaiti theater of operations. Now, Kuwait is not a very big country. It's very small. 500,000 people jammed in there with 4,000 tanks. That is a formidable force.
A formidable force indeed. This wild card in Iraq's arsenal is its stockpile of chemical weapons and missiles. Experts say Saddam Hussein is years away from having nuclear weapons, but Iraq's chemical capability is well documented. Biological agents such as anthrax and typhoid, and tons of poison and nerve gas that can be launched in a variety of ways.
Drink from the canteen. All right, gentlemen, listen up.
However, military spokesmen say U.S. troops are as prepared as they can be to ward off a chemical attack. And experts say any U.S. offensive would begin with continued airstrikes on strategic targets in Iraq and Kuwait, hoping to use Allied air superiority to weaken Hussein's forces.
We've got, I think, no question about it, a superior air force, both in number and in training and in capability. We have clearly a superior Navy. The Iraqis don't have much of a naval force. And we have, I think, a very highly trained, very well-equipped ground force of United States Army, United States Marines.
What would we use? Tomahawk cruise missiles, Air Force F-14s, 15s, and 16s, and B-52 bombers, all said to be far superior to most of Iraq's 500-plane Air Force. AWAC radar planes, used in South Florida to fight the drug war, could help confuse Iraqi radar. Also in the American arsenal, the stealth bomber.
And it still comes down to the capability of the troops in the final analysis.
And those troops now number nearly 500,000, with more arriving every day. Military experts predict it's going to be a very mobile operation.
He's pretty close to the brink right now. How much closer he's going to try to get, I don't know.
Well, Tom, just to recap, there are now more than 645,000 U.S. and allied forces in the Gulf versus 540,000 Iraqi troops. Back to you.
Thanks, Teresa, for that live report. Kelly?
Our troops enduring what might be the longest night of their lives, waiting for word of war. Big story coverage continues now with Channel 4's Susan Lichtman on our soldiers in Saudi Arabia.
Like I said, counting down the hours, you start searching inside yourself, wondering if you're up to what has to be done, and you think about your family back home.
There is a different tone among U.S. troops in Saudi Arabia, less outward bravado, more subdued, inward thinking. The reality of war is taking hold. Soldiers count the hours and pick up news from wherever they can find it, English newspapers, shortwave radios.
BBC World Service. President Saddam Hussein of Iran.
Many buildings which house U.S. military personnel for months are now boarded up, ringed in barbed wire, deserted, as troops move out to the front. A front that is cold and wet from the first rainstorm in 18 months. But Channel 4's Peter Ford, who spoke to us from Saudi Arabia, says the rain is actually welcome.
And in some ways, the rain is a mixed blessing. For example, it settles the dust and the grit, which is so corrosive right now. In the past, it's been grinding up the inside of jet turbines and cutting out the leading edges of helicopters. With the rain, that sand will be settled for the time being.
As the troops move out, so do Saudi residents. Many have fled inland. Hotels are deserted. It's hard to find a cab. But it's not hard to find confidence among U.S. troops who believe in their hearts that the big loser in this confrontation will be Saddam Hussein.
It's going to be fast and furious and short.
Regardless, I'm going to survive it.
Susan Lichtman, Channel 4 News.
Saudi Arabia joined by Israel and the United States bracing for possible terrorist attacks. Airports around the world are beefing up security, including Miami International. Nuclear power plants also taking precautions. Saudi Arabia has issued a warning that saboteurs will be executed without delay.
Across the nation, thousands of Americans now believe the only path to peace is through prayer. Big story coverage continues now with Channel 4's Ileana Bravo.
That the world may live in harmony, and war shall be no more.
The faithful of the United Church of Christ are turning to prayer as the world teeters on the brink of war.
And here we are today, less than 30 hours away from the countdown to war. Let us receive.
Ministers of different faiths who head several Key Biscayne churches are calling on their congregations to believe in the power of prayer. In the absence of reason, they're turning to their faith.
We pray that God will give us peace, and we pray that you and I, each of us, might be an active part in bringing that peace. Let us go in peace, and let us with you seek peace for all. Amen.
Gladys Vandenberg cries in fear. She prays today for a young soldier.
He's in Saudi Arabia, and I told him I was going to make a blanket for his baby.
Martha Crouch remembers the horrors of war, dating back to World War I.
And I don't see really how much they have accomplished. So I think it might be better to try peace.
The prayer vigils may not avert war, but the faithful remind us peace on earth can only be achieved with each one of us as the peacemakers. On Key Biscayne, Ileana Bravo, Channel 4 News.
Activists around the country staging vocal protests, pleading for peace. This morning, Nova high schoolers rallied, delivering emotional speeches on the Persian Gulf crisis. The school supported the demonstrations, saying there's a need to share beliefs and information on where we're actually heading.
The mixed emotions as we move closer to the deadline felt around the world and here in South Florida. Big story coverage continues with Channel 4's Marianne Murciano.
At best, the chances of averting war seem slim after an 11th hour appeal by the UN Secretary General failed. And today it seems like the world is preparing for war. But many South Floridians still don't think war is inevitable.
If I did have a gut feeling, I'd go with my heart and I'd say, no, I don't want war. It's not going to do anything but kill everybody and hurt people.
I doubt it. I really got a lot of faith in Bush, really in God. And I doubted that happened.
Inevitable? Nothing is inevitable. Inevitable. But if they want to go, they better go at once. Don't make another Vietnam out of it. That's all.
Most people we spoke to feel pretty strong one way or another about whether we should go to war. But just about all agree on one thing: war would hurt everyone. Vinette Williams won't even allow herself to think about it.
I feel in my gut today because my husband's in the military and he's stationed at Homestead, and I know they're not going to have a war. I hope not.
Hope is the only thing left for even the most pessimistic.
I think we're going, but I think, probably there's a way to avoid it. It's got to be a way.
And that hope now lies in the hands of our world leaders. In Miami, Marianne Murciano, Channel 4 News.
Our big story coverage continues on the Channel 4 News. Coming up at 5:30, why commercial planes might be flying into military service, plus how the economy could become the first casualty. And tomorrow at 7:30, a Channel 4 News special, South Florida waits the desert deadline.
And our special coverage also continues in this program. We'll check out the unexpected weather hitting the Saudi desert.
Plus, a new way for military families to get help with their personal crises.
I doubt it. I really got a lot of faith in Bush, really in God, and I doubted that happened.
During the holiday period, I suppose, it's the most difficult time for all of us.
Diane Carroll makes the healthy choice resolution.
But this is a lovely thing to come back to, because it has everything we need, and because it tastes so darn good.
Healthy choice entrees are more than low calorie. They're lowest in fat, sodium, and cholesterol. A delicious and intelligent approach to healthier eating.
Healthy choice is not naughty, and this is easy to go back to.
Listen to your heart. Make the healthy choice.
From the campfires of the Andes to the boulevards of Buenos Aires, from the business centers of Brazil to the wine cellars of Santiago, American Airlines is opening doors all over Latin America. With more flights to more destinations throughout Central and South America than any other U.S. airline. So now you can fly American for business or pleasure to 21 cities in 16 countries, which means the best way to Latin America is right through this door. American Airlines.
Nobody beats Home Depot. Nobody. Home Depot will beat any price, any store, any identical item, any day. And low prices are just the beginning. Home Depot has a great selection of Fluidmaster toilet tank repair parts and faucet handles. We also carry Mayfair toilet seats in a wide variety of styles and colors.
When you're with us at Home Depot, you feel right at home.
Introducing the most revolutionary complex Estee Lauder ever created, and we can prove it. Advanced Night Repair. Use it daily and help prevent environmental UV damage. See a 40% reduction in the look of lines. Use it nightly and help repair your skin's appearance. See a significant increase in moisturization. Advanced Night Repair. So unique. Patented into the 21st century. Advanced Night Repair. Now at Moss Brothers Jordan Marsh.
Humiliation on the second half quarterback.
Now that was a stellar performance.
Super buckets.
Have some chicken. You look weak.
Man,
his arm is weak. It's called aging.
From Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Trivia, guys. Who has the record for most fumbles? You mean before today?
15 pieces of chicken or a supersized bucket of hot wings, just $9.99 each. Wait till the second half.
All right. Rally.
Anytime you're ready, gentlemen.
Super buckets from KFC.
Afraid of this.
Yikes.
On our next, A Current Affair, Dr. Little and Mr. Hyde.
A Current Affair, weekdays at 7 following NBC Nightly News, only on Channel 4.
From your 24-hour news source, Channel 4 News continues.
Wicked winter weather has hit the Sunshine State. Folks with nowhere to sleep are lining up at homeless shelters to make sure they're out of the cold tonight. South Florida experienced a chill last night while temperatures fell below freezing in the northern part of the state. Meteorologist Brian Allen is in our storm center with the forecast. Brian?
Hi, Tom. How you doing? It looks like that cold weather is going to take a couple of days off.
but return just in time for the weekend. Let's go ahead and go outside and show you what we've got as far as the temperatures go. Currently, as we load these up, Fort Lauderdale 72, humidity 73%, winds out of the east at 10, Miami 69 degrees, still the winds out of the north at 7. That's why we didn't get quite as warm today. We needed more of an easterly wind shift. Now, as far as the air quality goes, Broward good today at 35, and Dade was good at 38 as well. Tonight's schoolyard weather comes to us from Brentwood Elementary School in Carroll City, and they are the Mustangs.
Good afternoon. Today's date is January 14, 1991. This is your schoolyard weather coming from Brentwood Elementary. The present temperature is 65 degrees.
Okay, a real short one there. That was Adid Marcos and Angela Sinclair giving us the forecast. Let's go ahead and go back out and show you what's going on across the country. This is the cold front that came through over the weekend and why we got so chilly last night, but the front, as what generally happens this time of year, gets into the Florida Straits, sort of becomes a warm front, and it's on its way back up, so that means some more clouds tomorrow, but as it comes up, that also means some warmer temperatures. Atlanta 53, 68 degrees in Miami. Up on the East Coast, sunshine from Canada all the way back down into Washington, D.C. Not too bad of a day, clearing out. Hartford 32, New York 37, Philadelphia 40 degrees. Pittsburgh back there, the Iron City. Is it Iron City? It's Iron City, 46 degrees. And in the Midwest, International Falls 19, Minneapolis 28 degrees. Our forecast starts out for the boaters for tomorrow. Winds will be out of the southeast at about 15, seas running 3 to 5 feet. Surf temperature tomorrow at 75 degrees. For tonight, look for some lingering showers around, a low of 64. And for tomorrow, plenty of clouds and some showers, maybe some sunshine back into the day around 3 o'clock in the afternoon. Look for a high of 79. And your 4 more days, Wednesday and Thursday, there you go. The next front comes in on Friday, 72 on both Friday and Saturday. So we've gotten rid of the 80s for at least a little while. Tom, Kelly?
Yeah, Pittsburgh, Iron City. There's also a beer named Iron City, but you wouldn't know anything about that, right? Yeah, it's still around.
Okay.
Thanks, Brian.
Updating stories topping the Channel 4 news at this hour. Soviet President Gorbachev says he did not order the military takeover in Lithuania, which left 14 people dead. Thousands of people staged protests nationwide demanding a peaceful end to the Gulf crisis. But military families fear that war is unavoidable. They're holding prayer vigils tonight. The Channel 4 Help Center is trying to do what it can for those military families. Troubleshooter Jack Atherton here now to explain. Jack?
Kelly, the Help Center is in the business of helping all of our viewers, and we're going to keep doing that, but the volunteers want to make a special effort for military families, giving them the kind of help we gave this Oakland Park airman with his car insurance. Back in England, Air Force Base in Louisiana, when Airman Bruce Mullison wanted to tool around town on the ground, he'd just jump into his customized Mustang. But now, stationed like these men in Saudi Arabia, Bruce has to grab another kind of ride. As his dad told us, Bruce's wheels are back at the base.
I've got the keys to the car, which he mailed me when he left, and it's just going to sit there till he gets back.
However, like all Florida residents, Bruce still had to pay for personal injury and property damage liability insurance or lose his license and face a stiff fine. Bruce's dad didn't think that was fair, so he called a bunch of state officials from the governor on down.
And they're all telling me, no way, can't mess with the law is the law. So I got disgusted and I called Channel 4 Help.
We called the state insurance commissioner, and he and other department heads agreed to take action.
We found a way to help Florida servicemen and women mobilize in defense of Saudi Arabia who want to save money by canceling their automobile insurance and parking their vehicles while deployed.
Active and reserve military personnel just have to notify the State Department of Highway Safety of their out-of-state transfer to avoid suspension for not having insurance. They also should notify their insurers. Now, while away, no one can legally drive the vehicle, but on return, insurance will be reinstated without fee. And that's going to save Bruce about $350 a year and give him one less thing to worry about over there. We want to help a lot more Desert Shield families with mortgage problems, health care. You tell us. From Dade, you can reach us by calling 379-HELP. In Broward, the Help Center number is 523-HELP. Back to you.
All right, Jack, thanks very much.
Well, doctors fear a mysterious virus is targeting young children in Broward County. That story next.
And we'll continue our special coverage of the crisis countdown.
I think we're going, but I think, you know, probably there's a way to avoid it. It's got to be a way.
Join me for What's Cooking, brought to you by Winn-Dixie, right after this message.
If you want to know the simplest way to save on groceries, just shop Winn-Dixie. They've got low prices nobody can beat. Nobody.
Take home fresh fryer drumsticks, only 57 cents a pound for 5 pounds or more. Wake up with Astor Super Blend coffee, just 88 cents. Limit one, please. Have your groceries delivered right to your home by calling 1-800-284-SHOP. And be sure to pick up a Greatest card to let us know how we can serve you better. Winn-Dixie, low prices nobody can beat. Nobody.
The Bristol Hotel in Paris anticipates the health needs of its clients. An exercise pool looks out on Paris. A low-calorie menu looks out for your waistline. 3 grilled fish is a good example. Elegant, interesting, light, low-fat. The chef starts by cutting some carrots and turnips into long, thin strips. They end up looking like pasta. He's using a Japanese vegetable cutter, but if you just chop your vegetables into small pieces, the dish will still turn out fine. Small fillets from 3 different types of fish get a light coating of vegetable oil and go onto a grill for a minute on each side, and into a 350-degree Fahrenheit oven for 5 minutes to finish cooking. The fish are chosen on the basis of color and flavor. You want each to look and taste quite differently. The vegetable-shaped pasta goes into a little boiling water for about 5 minutes until they're tender. The fish is arranged on the plate, vegetable pasta goes on, and a green garnish. It comes with a vegetable salad and a low-fat vinaigrette dressing. More taste for fewer calories than I've seen in years. A work of art. If you'd like a copy of that recipe, just send me a stamped self-addressed envelope marked 3 grilled fish. Send it to me at Box 2000 and Sonia Station, New York City. The zip is 10023. From the Bristol Hotel in Paris, that's what's cooking for today. I'm Bert Wolf.
It was an international scandal. It was dark. She was very modest. He never even touched her with his hands. That's impossible. How could he not know? Young Butterfly, astounding audiences in New York, London, Paris. See Broadway's Tony Award-winning Best Play, M. Butterfly.
Coming to Fort Lauderdale and Miami. Tickets at Ticketmaster.
I'll never forget my elementary school phys ed teacher. He taught us to do all these nutty things that we knew we would never use again. That's what teachers do, I guess. But you know what? Somewhere along the way, when you're all grown up, you realize you do use those lessons. So to that phys ed teacher, all I can say is thanks, Dad. Ta-da! Mom!
From your 24-hour news source, Channel 4 News continues.
A mysterious virus might be killing children in Broward County. Health officials tonight trying to pinpoint its source. For your health reporter, Pam Salisbury's in our Miami newsroom with the latest. Pam?
Kelly, this is a strange virus. Authorities can't identify it. They're not even sure the same virus killed all the victims. What's clear is that in a 3-week period, 3 young children were struck down. The first death, a 5-year-old boy, occurred December 26th in Coral Springs. A 15-month-old boy died January 4th in Tamarack, and a 2-year-old girl died in New York last week after a Broward visit. It's baffling health officials.
The thing we have noticed, however, is that SIDS does happen to be a lot more increased, or sudden infant death syndrome happens to be a lot more common this time of the year. If there isn't a viral cause to this, and there doesn't appear to be a bacterial cause, then I'm sure that's what the final sign-off is going to be, sudden infant death syndrome.
Health officials are not ready to sound an alarm yet. They can only tell parents the victims shared 2 symptoms, pneumonia and enlarged tonsils. But parents might be happy to know new portable fetal monitors are saving money and lives. The machines are being used by women having difficult pregnancies. They allow hospitals to monitor contractions by phone so potential problems can be spotted early. The monitors help prevent premature deliveries, saving babies' lives. And that's it from Health. Tom, back to you.
All right, thanks, Pam. Well, baby talk from a top star making news tonight. Cher says she's ready to have another child, but not another husband. The star of Mermaids blames her marriage to Sonny Bono, saying if they'd stayed together, she wouldn't be an actress and might even be dead. A different outlook from actor Tom Cruise. He's thrilled with married life the second time around. The actor secretly wed his former co-star Nicole Kidman over the holidays. Now he says he'll be spending the rest of his life on a honeymoon.
A South Florida couple spending their honeymoon thousands of miles apart. It's not the way Jane Nichols envisioned her wedding day, but with the desert deadline fast approaching, she and fiancé Jack Woods became man and wife by proxy. Their best friend standing in as the groom because Wood is stationed in Saudi Arabia. Quite appropriately, the first toast was for his safe return.
All this talk of marriage, where's the rice at?
Really. With that, we wrap up our first look at 5. Thanks for joining us.
And stay tuned, Channel 4 News at 5:30. News Update.
From Fort Lauderdale and Miami, this is Channel 4 News at 5:30 with Steve Abrams in Fort Lauderdale, Teresa Rodriguez in Miami, meteorologist Brian Norcross, weather, Tony Segreto, sports, and the Channel 4 News team.